Good morning, everyone. I did my paper over Apollo and the arts, as you can see, so that's what I'll be talking to you about. My first topic was Apollo in Greek mythology. The stories of Apollo in Greek mythology have been illustrated by Homer in his hymn to Apollo. In this hymn, Homer talks about how Leto, Apollo's mother, gave birth to Apollo and his twin sister Artemis. Leto became pregnant through Zeus, the god of the sky and thunder, and when Hera, the wife of Zeus, found out, she was really angry. She made it known that anyone who associates with Leto will be punished. Leto was due to give birth, but because of Hera's threat, no island was willing to take her. She eventually arrives at Delos and pleads to be allowed to give birth there. In the hymn, Homer personifies Delos as a woman who speaks to Leto, and Delos is reluctant but says that as long as Apollo honors her with the temple, then she will allow Leto to give birth there. The hymn explains that she was in labor for 9 days and nights, unable to give birth, because Hera had kept Eileithyia, the goddess of childbirth, from being there. After 9 days and nights, Leto pleads with the goddess Iris to go get Eileithyia. Only after Iris comes back with Eileithyia does Leto give birth to Apollo. Apollo is mentioned in a lot of ancient literature, but one of his most notable appearances is in Homer's Iliad. In the beginning of the Iliad, Agamemnon and Achilles are taking spoils of war from a neighboring town of Troy. They both took a young woman from the town as a part of their spoil of war. Agamemnon just so happened to take the daughter of one of Apollo's priests. When the priest asks for his daughter back, Agamemnon refuses. The priest prayed to Apollo for help. His prayer was answered by Apollo setting a plague on Agamemnon and his soldiers, which is crazy because Apollo is the god of healing. But hey, I guess everyone has those days. Apollo also shows up in Book 15 when Zeus commands him to help Hector, who is in the midst of battle. Apollo renewed Hector and his men's strength so they could continue fighting. He also shows up in Book 20 when all of the Greek gods are fighting each other. In this chapter, Apollo is fighting Poseidon, as they are on different sides of the war. Throughout my research, I found that ancient authors use the stories of the Iliad and the Odyssey in their own works. One notable author is Aeschylus, who fed off these stories to form his play The Eumenides. This play is about the events after Orestes, the son of Agamemnon, has killed his mom and her lover. If you've read the Odyssey, then you remember that when Agamemnon comes home from war, he is killed by his wife and the man she had been cheating with. Orestes is being chased by the Furies, the goddesses of vengeance, because they want him to be brought to justice. Apollo shows up and tells Orestes to go to Athens to ask Athena for help. Once in Athens, Orestes is put on trial, and Apollo acts as his witness and defense attorney. In the end, Orestes is acquitted of everything he is accused of thanks to Apollo. So my next topic was about depictions of Apollo in vase paintings. This vase is called the Niobe crater. It was made between the years 455 and 450 BC. What you see here is the front of the vase, which depicts the story of a mortal woman named Niobe. Her story is very unfortunate, to say the least. The summary version is that she was bragging and saying she was better than Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis. The only reason Niobe thought she was better than Leto is because Leto only had 2 children while she had 14, which that's a lot. But anyway, Apollo and Artemis heard what Niobe said, so they came and killed all of her children in front of me, which is a bit dramatic if you ask me. But that's the scene that's being depicted right here, and you can see Apollo and Artemis on the vase with bows and arrows. Artemis is reaching on the left to get another arrow out of her quiver, and you can see Apollo is poised to shoot his bow and also has a laurel crown on. This is another vase, well, a small picture of it anyway, but it was created between the years 485 and 480 BC. It shows scenes from the Iliad. This side depicts the battle between Ajax and Hector. You can see that Apollo is standing on the right behind Hector, and on the left is Athena. The story behind this is that they were both giving strength to their respective warriors who were in the midst of battle. These are pictures found on the other side of the vase. The scene on the left depicts Menelaus and Paris during the Battle of Troy. Aphrodite is standing behind Paris, and Artemis is standing behind Menelaus. It's a very similar scene to the other side of the vase, which was on the previous slide. The scene on the right depicts the body of the king of Ethiopia who died during the Battle of the Trojan War, and his body is being held by his mother. This doesn't really have anything to do with Apollo, but I thought that it was really interesting, so now you get to look at it. This is the Temple of Apollo in Delphi, which is in Greece. It became the home of the Oracle of Delphi. That was when one of the priests or priestesses would become Apollo's oracle and speak to the people. People would consult the oracle for a variety of things. Kings would usually visit the oracle to help them make decisions about wars and governmental issues. This statue is called the Cyrene Apollo. It was discovered in 1861, but by that point it had been broken into 121 different pieces. Archaeologists carefully transported it and reconstructed it at the British Museum. There are a lot of intricate details to this 7.5-foot tall statue. It's actually very impressive. Most of it had actually been chiseled from one big block of marble, except for the left wrist and the right arm, which those two parts were recovered but were lost when the statue was transported. Alright, that was it. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and learned at least a few things from it. Thanks for listening.